Hello, Women of the Channel Leadership Network. I'm Jackie Rives, your community leader, and welcome to another Woman of the Week. This week, I'm pretty excited to be able to introduce you to Chelsea Skinner, president of Oversee My IT and a new advisory board member for our Exchange brand. Hi, Chelsea. Thank you so much for being here with me.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I can't wait to get to know you. Why don't we start out with those icebreaker questions? So let's go with where do you live and where did you grow up if that's different?
All right, so I live in North Dallas in Texas. I always assume everyone knows where Dallas is.
That's a pretty good assumption.
But I actually am originally from Nebraska, an itty bitty town in Nebraska. But we moved a lot as a kid, so it's always really hard to answer the where did you grow up because I grew up in the Midwest, so Colorado, Missouri, Nebraska, spent some time in South Dakota. We even lived in the Bahamas for 6 months. So just
wow.
all over the place.
Yeah, that's fun. That's a cool little little known fact about you, but I'm still gonna let you give a little known fact about you.
So it may not be little known because I have the dinosaur necklace and a dinosaur on my purse, but I'm a huge Jurassic Park fan. I actually really like dinosaurs.
That's kind of cool.
And when Jurassic World came out, I was 8.5 months pregnant. And so I watched Jurassic World, and every time the dinosaur roared, my kid would jump in my belly. It was super funny. And he is now obsessed with dinosaurs, which I secretly love that. It's like our shared interest.
That's really cool. I love that. I told you, every time I meet someone, I find something new that like no one's ever had before. So that's really fun. Thank you for sharing that. All right, well, let's dive into your professional background. I'm super impressed with you being a CEO and leading a company. So maybe share about your career path and how you reached the position you're at today.
So I will tell you where I'm at today is not where I expected to be in 2011 when I graduated college. So when I was in high school, I actually wanted to be a veterinarian. We had horses and I used to assist with a lot of the surgeries and doing everything with all the animals, helping with shots, all of that every time my vet came out. Like that was really what my interest was. And then I realized after a couple of procedures that maybe being a vet wasn't the right decision for me. So I went to school for accounting. Complete opposite.
Yeah, that's very different.
Yeah. In 8th grade, I discovered I love accounting. And so I was like, okay, well, this is the path I'll go down. And before we got married, my husband actually had gone out on his own and started a business. And when our son was born, I decided that working in the company I was working for, I used to work constantly. Like 12, 14-hour days was no big deal. And when you have a newborn, that's not exactly an ideal work situation. So I came back to the business about 8 years ago. And my husband just told me one day that he really just enjoys the R&D part of it. And I kind of always wanted to have my own business. That was always kind of a thing for me. And I was like, okay, well, why don't I take over on running the business and then you can spend your time doing the R&D and the stuff that you love. So yeah, that was about 2 years ago now. So I'm still learning this new role.
And that's okay. That's great. Like, we don't want to stop learning, but wow, that's amazing that you guys were able to find a way to leverage both your passions and skills. Super impressive.
Yeah, it's worked out well for us. I love it. And especially since we have an 8-year-old. I mean, coming here, the big motivator for me was getting to spend more time with my son because I don't really want him growing up. He's an only child, so I don't really want him growing up remembering like, hey, my mom worked all the time. So
Yeah.
it worked out well to come back to the business and then to, like you said, to do something that I enjoy makes it even better.
Even better, yeah. And that's really cool that you found that out earlier and kind of, it's kind of all lined up for you where you can, as we're going to get into my next question, which is always one of my favorites, protecting and creating that work-life balance, even though balance is not a great word, but what are some tips that you do to kind of promote that?
So I will say I am very fortunate that I actually leave the office every day by 3 and I don't come in until 8:30 because I drop my kiddo off at school every morning and then I pick him up from school. And that's kind of an intentional time that we have that we can spend time talking, we can just whatever, it's our time together. And I try really hard not to let anything disrupt that. Like if someone else has to pick him up, it happens. But
Sure.
um and then after I pick him up, there's still a little bit of, okay, I need to wrap up my day while you're doing my homework. And then I try really hard to focus on the 5 o'clock, I'm done. Like, you are my priority because he's still young. He still goes to bed early. And so I only get 3 hours a night with him. And I want to make sure that I take advantage of the 3 hours before he's 18 and doesn't want to hang out with me anymore because I'm still cool. He's still like, I'm still one of his favorite people. But we also are kind of forced into that balance because he's in activities. He has school. He plays soccer. He wants to start hockey. So we're kind of forced into that balance. And like on Saturday, he had a game. I'm not going to sit on the sidelines on my phone. Like, I want to be focusing on him. When he stops the ball from going into the goal and he looks at me, I want him to see my eyes looking at him. Like, that's super important to me. So I think that is what has helped me kind of protect. That is, I want him to know when he was little, mom is here. And that's my priority. So
I love that. That, like I said, before, it's kind of the same. It's so great that you've been able to find a way to find something you're passionate about and have the flexibility to kind of create those boundaries for the most time. Like, as you said, things are going to come up, but for the majority, just to be able to kind of create those boundaries and be able to focus on and prioritize what you want at the best times. I love that. What is something you've learned that you wish you knew earlier in your career?
So when I graduated college, I will be the first to admit that I thought I knew it all. I was also the perfect parent until I had my own child. So
I love that.
yeah. So one thing that I wish I could have told myself is just because you read it in a book does not mean that that is the gospel. I mean, especially in accounting, when you view it that way, it's okay, assets, liabilities, equity, like this is how it works. But then when you go into, I always call it like when you go into like the real adult world, that's not like what you read in the books isn't reality. And that was actually a huge struggle that I had early on in my career where I'm like, well, the books say X and this is how it's supposed to be. And then even when I'm talking to people that have way more experience than me, because of course I don't know, 20 years old, however old I was when I graduated, you know it all. So if I definitely, when I was younger, I wish that I had a bigger grasp on humility and understanding that what you read is not 100% gospel.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great advice. Especially for those, yes, younger in their career. Because I will admit that I never really thought about it, but yeah, I mean, I could totally relate to what you're saying. Like, no, it says it's this, so we have to do it this way. But you're right, that's not how life is. Like, things are constantly changing and evolving, and having that information as a foundation to help you make decisions.
Yeah, especially in the tech industry. I mean,
Yeah.
that was a huge struggle for me because as an accountant, you see everything black and white. There's not a lot of gray in your life. Like, it either works or it doesn't. Your bank accounts reconcile or they don't. But with IT, and especially with running a business and having employees and all the nuances that go along with that, it's a lot of gray.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And
That's
I
so
wish I
true.
had known gray was okay at 20 years old. Like, it doesn't have to be black and white.
That's okay. You're learning now, which I'm sure kind of helps leading into my next question. And that's, how do you define successful leadership?
So Successful leadership to me is really that I have provided the tools and the experience or the knowledge or guidance or however you want to word that to whoever it is that's in my charge. So when I'm not standing there, they can function without me. So especially when it comes to my team, I have a fantastic team. Like you asked about the work-life balance, they actually encourage that for me and Jack, which is fantastic. So when we go on vacation and we're gone for a week, I feel like I have succeeded as a leader because for a week, we literally get to put our phones down and put our computers down, and our team just manages it without us. And they do a phenomenal job. And so for me, I feel like the fact that we can walk away and the whole world doesn't fall apart is where I kind of draw that line at. We've succeeded.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a testament to your leadership. And I love that they're cheering you on. And I'm sure that you're giving them the same expectation. So you're kind of modeling the behavior that you want the team to also do for themselves, which is amazing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I know that it's like a buzzword that everybody uses, but we are true believers in this is your job. This is not your life. Like you have a life outside of here, and we expect you to live your life. If you need something, if you have to go home because your kid has a soccer game, I would leave for my kid's soccer game. So leave, go to your kid's soccer game. Like this is just a job.
I love that. Well, I can't think of a better better stopping point than that. Chelsea, it was so great getting to know you. And next time I see you, I'll have to have some kind of dinosaur or something so I can be part of this club. So thank you again for letting us celebrate you as our Woman of the Week.
Well, thank you. It was so nice chatting with you. I appreciate the opportunity. I really do.
Well, there you have it, community members. Please give Chelsea some shout outs, share your tips and advice. I'm sure that she would welcome that as well. And until next time, happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday.